What looks to be a 2-second dead set straight line is more often than not a white-knuckle zigzag to the finish. For that reason, we say thank God for fearless competitors and end zone cameras. Welcome to Steelville, Missouri for the MRA Finals, where the open paddle class will compete today. One vehicle will not be there, but Billy Fling, you took the cut tire victory for the year. That had to soften the blow a little bit. What happened last night?
We got right at the end of the track and the wheel came off and put me into a hay bale.
Went in there about as slow as you could have hoped for. It didn't go all the way through and it stayed upright.
Yeah, I thought for sure it was going over, but stayed up on all fours or all threes.
Looked like the rack, it kind of held the wheel on it, tucked up under there, kind of made a ski for you.
It did, and that's what helped slow me down. Instead of it digging in and flipping me, it rode on top of the tire until we got her stopped.
We'll be back for next year, and it looked like the computer was working for you guys because you guys were really screaming out the end of the track last night.
Yeah, that's what we're trying for, but we really wanted today to put some to it, and just didn't happen, so we'll do it next year.
At least at the end of the year, though. No mid-season blues this year?
Right. Yeah, that's for sure.
All right. Well, we will let you get back to relaxing for the day, but we know you'll be around, so congratulations on the championship.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Well, as he walks away and unfortunately puts it in the trailer for the evening, we are looking at the current standings here. He will not be able to jump to that number one spot. Kevin Harrison most likely will walk out of here with it because Jim Ingram's not here either. Tyler Coolidge is going to be the big competition, as well as hopefully Travis Shoemaker, who is right now scrambling to get the high roller machine back in action. They had a rough time last night, but right now, though, we're going to get things started off with our open paddle class. Remember, we'll have the mod cuts coming up in just a little bit, but right now, the open paddle class, Steve Strell out of Vancouver, British Columbia. Custom 1947 Peterbilt coming to the line with a, just an open 521 cubic inch Allen Johnson billet Hemi with a PSI screw charger, 3-speed Linco transmission. This guy is absolutely fearless. He'll lay down the first shot in the first session. Blasting the track, a 2:08 with a 6 for Steve Strell in the overdraft Peterbilt. Watch him again off the line on the ragged edge, carrying the front end and sets it down just in time. Had he carried it any longer, he may have tripped the timing lights with the back tires, and you do not want that. Remember, yesterday, the winning time in this class on cut tires was a 2:21 with a 2. And Strell with the paddles on. Boy, look at how far to his right he came out. And you got to be careful coming down through there because remember, in some of these, we're going to have another vehicle in that lane now as Joel Coolidge comes out in a vehicle that's certainly not new to, this is Tara McConnell. Forgive me for that. Joel Coolidge is standing on the line right now. He was driving this vehicle yesterday. This is Kryptonite, formerly Bad Influence out of the state of Kansas, running this full-bodied machine in the open class. Got the hood off right now, but this thing can definitely get the job done. See what Tara McConnell can do right here on the paddle tires. These guys were competing with this name on a different vehicle in the modified class. That vehicle has since been sold, but we should see it back next year. It is running with one of the teams here with the MRA, but right now McConnell going for her first pass here in session 1. Pedaled it a little bit, trying to get used to this vehicle as fishtails a bit coming out of the lane. A 273 with an 8, not going to get past Steve Strell, and you can see the reaction time a bit slow as this team gets used to piloting this vehicle that is brand new to them. But again, not a new vehicle, very well-tested vehicle. It's spent a lot of time. You can see she gets off to her left there. When she took off, it torqued on her, and it spun the tires. You don't think you can blow paddles off on the line. You have not seen the open class, because they are doing it here this weekend in Steelville, and she did come to her left side, and she pedaled. Probably didn't need to, but again, new to the vehicle, didn't want to run across there and hit the timing equipment. Now as Tyler Coolidge rolls out in Nightmare 7 out of Two Harbors, Minnesota, 500 cubic inch Alan Johnson performance engine with a 1471 Whipple supercharger up on top of that one. And Coolidge will line up next to the one and only Ned Brandenburg out of the state of Michigan. This is Eaton Ramen, 526 cubic inch 481X power plant that used to be on the back of Steve Renaud's Frantic machine, who's not here this weekend, but has done very well here in the past. We know the engine is good. We know the combination is good. We'll have to see if Ned can find it. He's been battling some bugs here this weekend, but it's good to see him back out battling on the MRA Series. Hope to see him back in 2025 with that improved program as he gets used to this combination that he's been working with this year. He's taken a few wild rides on some other series, but let's see how he does here with the MRA Championship against Tyler Coolidge. Shooting at a 208. Neither one of them is going to get by there. A 215 with a 3 is the fast run there for Tyler Coolidge. Brandenburg, you saw a 249. Again, Brandenburg not bad there, but still just looking for that perfect combination, that perfect concoction to get that horsepower to the ground. Coolidge quick through the top end of the track, but he went a long way to get there as he came all the way to the right. A lot of guys have been exiting these lanes to the right-hand side, and it is making some grooves down there. They're pulling around. Now, the guy who is in the running to win his third straight Open Paddle Class Championship, the Eric Bidlack built Never Enough, being piloted by Kevin Harrison out of Grenada, Mississippi. 527 cubic inch Noonan race engine there, and he lines up against Shane Nygam. This is Second Chance. Nygam, another one out of Kindersley, Saskatchewan. So a lot of northern flavor coming to the line here this weekend. He's got two vehicles in this competition. This is the newest of the two of them. And rumor has it that depending on how this session goes, these two are going to line up for a heads-up race in the second session for a little cold, hard cash. But we'll tell you about that when we get there. A lot of smoke out of Nygam's machine. Look at that. Harrison runs a 201. So he will go to the number one spot, bettering the 208 of Steve Strell. Nygam ran the 211 there, so he's going to be looking to turn it up, but he was quick. You see him there. Something letting go, it looks like, at the end of the run. Hopefully that wasn't engine damage. We'll find out in a moment, but that was a super quick pair of runs. Again, Nygam exiting right, as does Harrison. And Shane Nygam hovering in the top 5 right now with Kevin Harrison, who you now have to stage back on the line for a heads up with, and there's some cash on the line.
Oh, that's what it's all about. Kevin's the baddest running guy down here most of the year and does such a good job for the sport. We just thought, let's have a friendly north versus south battle and throw a little cash on the line to make it that much more exciting.
Very north versus south. They said something like 1,700 miles you guys drove to get here.
We sure did, yeah. A couple of us ended up flying, and our driver got all the toys down here, and it's been a heck of a good time so far.
Quick puff of smoke. Just talked to the mechanic, said there wasn't anything to worry about, but a big puff of smoke going through the traps. What was that?
We just had a little oil line break on us, and luckily in our world we don't have oil downs or nothing fun like that, so nothing serious. I was a little worried, but we had a good look. We're pretty good.
Kevin, at 201, classes are kind of wrapping up. Won't say when just yet, but you're running something a little bit different, I'm hearing, in the next session, maybe.
Yes, sir. Me and Shane from Canada, from Saskatchewan, I'll get it right in a minute, are fixing to run heads up for 5,000 apiece.
You got a bunch of these guys coming down from north of the border. It used to be just Steve.
Yes,
you got a guy all the way from Alberta. Strell's right behind you with the Peterbilt, which is neat. The track today, everybody said it's a little bit marbly, but it's consistent all the way through.
Yes, sir. The track's doing great. It went straight as an arrow down the track, smooth. Everything went real good with it. And hooked up good. I run a 101 60 foot.
Well, we'll let you guys get back to work because I know you got yours. Jeremy's got a car over here. You guys had a truck in last night. You don't have to worry about today. But we'll let you guys get back to work, and good luck in that Grudge match.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Well, speaking of Jeremy Hood, here he is right here, another member of that Harrison logging camp. In fact, we saw Jeremy drive Never Enough last year. It's good to see him back out here in Freebird. This is a machine that he had to work very, very hard to get back. I'm still trying to find the combination here, running a turbocharged engine. I'm not going to tell you exactly what the combination is, but he's got some secrets up his sleeve, going side by side with a guy who came to us out of the modified class. Used to run a big old engine on this thing. Now goes down in engine size, but up in the horsepower. Screw-blown 521 cubic inch Hemi in the back of Germansville, Pennsylvania's High Roller 4, owned by Neil and Travis Shoemaker. Multi-generation team there, and two guys who have seen every facet of this motorsport, from the deep, deep bogs to the silty loam to the sands of Florida. Now running here for the finals in the Show Me State. Hopefully they can get down the track here today, fingers crossed. And this is not going to be anyone's day today. High Roller 4 continuing to have problems. He had issues last night with that machine. You can see Jeremy Hood came to his right immediately. Runs a 393 on a legal pass. That's much better time than he had here when he debuted that machine, but still trying to find the control over all that horsepower that he's making in that lightweight Eric Bidlack built chassis, and the heavyweight of these two. There you see Kevin Harrison coming over to see what went wrong, but definitely problems continue on the High Roller machine. Not the weekend they were looking for at all, but they'll be all smiles before the end of the night. Go over and get them some pig roast, pack the vehicle up, get a nap before they hit the road back to the Keystone State. Jeremy Hood also not getting what he wanted out of that awesome machine. But it'll come around for him, and when it does, he is going to be a threat to the rest of the class. You can see, though, as I said, when he took off, it went immediately to his right, and you can't have that and make a legal run. But he wisely backed out of it and let it cruise down through the timing lights, made it a legal pass. Now, the big boss Ford, Paul Wessinger out of Spring Grove, Illinois. This is Paper Boy Express, 540 cubic inch Boss Ford power plant, one-speed transmission, lined up side by side with the 500-plus cubic inch Brad Anderson Hemi with a PSI screw blower on it. The Danish Dragon out of St. Albert, Alberta. 30 hours he hauled to make this event here. We've seen him here before. We've seen this car here plenty of times, and it's had more than its share of wild rides. Fingers crossed he stays straight going down through there. Two powerhouses in the sport, ready to go. Making power, but were they quick enough? No. Anderson a 219, Wessinger a 223. And remember, right now shooting at the run that Kevin Harrison laid down at a 201, so you know they're going to have to put the power to the track right on the line and hold it there. They're still blowing the tires off a little bit on the starting line, and that's with the excess clay that they have put in here today. They've added a lot of clay to this track, changed the mixture. You heard Kevin Harrison say, though, that the track is much straighter, it's much more consistent, and it does seem to be giving these guys much better handling here today as Mark Riggin rolls out. You talk about a guy who's always looking for handling. I have not to worry about those steer tires as the front end of this machine's always up in the air. Another bad habit out of Lockhart, Texas. 526 cubic inch Hemi. Bullet racing chassis. Lines up side by side with Shane Nygam now in Perfect Storm, the 521 cubic inch screw-blown Brad Anderson Hemi. Making about 3,500 horsepower. We know this machine can get it done. Again, Nygam was the one side by side with Kevin Harrison, so we'll see if he can be the one to knock Kevin Harrison out of that top spot. Again, a 2:01 with a 3 is what these guys are shooting for. Pair of rear engine machines, a little bit different dynamic on the build, but they should be pretty tight here. Nygam coming way to his right. Look at Riggin getting a hold of it and shut down a 2:15. A good run for another bad habit. A 2:93. Not what Nygam was looking for, but you saw the machine get squirrely on him coming out of the hole. As they head down, it looks like Nygam may have actually tapped a few markers on his way down through there. Trying to find out what exactly he ran. It looks like he did see. Okay, yeah, so it was a legal run. As I said, he put the 293 down there. We were trying to figure out if he did get a DQ or not because they were headed down to set up some cones. He apparently knocked the cones over with the dirt and not with the car, as far as we understand. We'll get an end zone shot of it and see exactly what did happen. Look at him come way to his right. Oh, no, he got the cone with the rear tire. We just didn't see a DQ on the screen. Look at Riggin coming into the ISO there. Get a look at Riggin's run. Look at that, carrying the. I said he carried the front end, and that was still a good run on the rear tires. You get that front end down, though, trip the clocks with those narrow front tires, you get a quicker time. But I think he did get the front end down in time to lay down a decent pass as he's currently sitting in 4th place. You can see how competitive this field is, though. Kevin Harrison on top of the 2:01. Steve Strell coming after him, though. The front engine Peterbilt with a 2:08. Shane Nygam, he's going to be right there. Mark Riggin and Tyler Coolidge. You got to be in 2-1 territory to get in the top 5 this week. And stay with us. More to come from Steelville.
Hey, welcome to Wildman Adventures. We're at the Silver Lake Sand Dragway. There really wasn't any off-roading back then. It was all off-road. We're on our way to Lima, Ohio. Got wooden wheels.
Oh, it's slippery as all get out of.
Hey, we're here with Rich Cummins. Hey, we're here with Mike Potter. Hey, we're here with Alan Pizzo. Gotta check it out. This week we're going to go down memory lane.
This program is brought to you by RPM Army. For a wide array of content from across the motorsports world, visit rpmarmy.com. Your high-performance fix on the go.
Well, the open paddle class was digging up the loam with the bigger diggers. The paddle tires were ready to go with the modified cut class, ready to rip up the loam with the cut tires. The DOT cuts in the back, traditionally running the Super Swampers. As we take a look at the points coming into this final race of the season, Rick George and Smokin' Gun on top of the field, along with Robert Gallagher, who's looking to take the number 1 spot, trying to stay out in front of Chris Bonacker and Havoc. Keith Mitchell and the Magician, who had a rough season, and Jason Chaya in Lil Crazy, who has been a threat in this field before. Gene Cruz out of Richmond, Kentucky, rolling out now. Bad Intentions, 800-plus cubic inch Billy Albert power plant, and that Joe Wizard Curtis chassis, sponsored by Cruz Excavating. Part of the second-rate race family, lined up alongside Show Me State's own Wayne Bonacker with the 814 cubic inch Sonny's power plant. See what he has for Cruz. Bonacker flying out the top end of the track, a 2.60 with a 3 Cruz with problems. Take a look at it here in just a moment. Watch, when Cruz takes off, he'll pick up the front end. You're going to see him slam it down, but there's blue smoke coming out of the rear of this vehicle. Either broke the rear diff or maybe had a transmission let go. You saw the blue smoke. It's an indication something went away there in the drivetrain. And the hop at the end there going into shutdown for Bonacker. Off the line so quick. Wayne's going to be quick here today. He's won in this class before. He's been the points champion coming away from a season. Sashayed a little bit there at the about half track, but he got a hold of it. Managed to lay down quite a pass. Look who's coming out now, though. Justin George, part of the George Farms family. See his father, who's leading the points right now, getting ready to line him up. That's Rick George standing behind the vehicle. And the one and only Shane Olrogi there in the neck brace. Speedy recovery wishes to him as he had a side-by-side accident. No racing related to that neck brace. He lines up alongside Chris Moses in this John Conkle Chevrolet out of Davenport, Iowa. This is a record-capable machine, but he has had the worst of luck every time our cameras are on him. And fingers crossed, knock on wood, he has a good day here today. But I cannot wait to see this thing when he finally gets to really cut it loose. This thing will be a threat in both the OPS and this modified cut class. But the vehicle on the other side of the track, Franklin, Georgia's George family with Justin George at the wheel of Shoot to Thrill, the rear engine rail built by Racing in the Dirt last year. 959 cubic inch Billy Albert power plant there. John Conkle having a hand in both of these teams because Conkle also builds the power for the pro stockers that the George family runs. Good move coming through there. Rough shutdown, though. Red light for Moses and 246 for Justin George coming out of the end of the lane there. So he will go to the number 1 spot. Bonnecker knocked back down to number 2, and that will put Gene Cruz in the number 3 spot with a less than ideal run. Look at Moses hopping down through there. There is a little bit of a lip, it looks like, coming out of the loam there, and it's causing these guys to move around quite a bit and shut down. That could get interesting later on today. Now as our next pairing comes out, Daniel Kerher out of Spalding, Nebraska, looking for trouble. Hopefully he doesn't find any. He had some last night. Big fire in this machine. He always seems to find some fire when we come here to Show Me State. Lines up next to Chris Bonnecker out of House Springs, Missouri. 705 cubic inch cast iron block. An Induction Solutions nitrous setup. Machine called Havoc. Originally built by John Conkle. See what this pair has is Havoc lines up against the 632 cubic inch Tony Bischoff Ford power plant here on the near side to us. Again, another Racing in the Dirt built machine, the blue and white rear engine machine in the near lane. And you see the diversity of this modified cut class. The fans absolutely love it. The hot rods versus the rails. You get a chance to see who can make it to that finish line the quickest. What Bonnecker was moving down there, 249 with a 3 for Havoc. So just shy of Justin George, but that goes to show you those machines with the fiberglass wrapped around the cage can still get going. You can see Kerher did find some trouble there on the starting line. He moved off to the left when he took off. Something not working for him here today. Unloaded very quickly. It looks like he actually got on the wheelie bar just a bit coming off the starting line. Unloaded the chassis, and that was the end of the conversation for Daniel Kerher. Now another member of the George Farms family rolling out in a machine that they debuted at the end of last year. That's Bad Medicine. Randy George at the wheel, lined up next to Keith Mitchell on the Magician out of Fredonia, Pennsylvania. That big 900-plus cubic inch Sonny's power plant. The 4-stage nitrous system. And I always mention this machine naturally aspirated, make around 1,800 horsepower. With the nitrous system, 3,000 horsepower out of this solitary power plant, lined up next to Bad Medicine, as I said, out of Franklin, Georgia. 864 cubic inch Rare and Morrison power plant, also with a 4-stage nitrous system, and that's a new Racing in the Dirt chassis over there. So the Racing in the Dirt crew having a lot of customer base in this sport right now. And they will probably have more to come. As I mentioned, there's always this chassis battle between them, Bullet, Bidlack, and now right here in the near lane with Keith Mitchell and the Magician looking for fast time. Mitchell coming off to the right-hand side, but still moving quick. A 2:36 with a 5, taking him into the number 1 spot. And that betters record time here in the modified cut class. The national record at 200 feet standing has been a 2:37 with a 1. And Mitchell just went past it. Now he will have to back it up coming into session 2. But right now he has bettered that national record. Keith, 2369. And I always say it, I know you're not happy with where you are.
Nah, it was after struggles yesterday. That was a good pass, and hopefully we can hold on to it. Right now we're leading, and then I guess it's a national record, so we just got to be clean on our second pass. But we got really a bunch of good guys here. They're all going to step it up, so we got to do a little the same.
Now, a couple guys said there's a little bit of marble on the starting line, but it's consistent all the way down.
Yes, I mean that's what the car just handled flawlessly. The power come in as it wanted it to, and it just carried straight down the line and carried the front wheels perfect. And no, it felt great, and the guys said it looked good. So data shows good, and we'll try again.
Well, I know you guys are looking at data, so we'll let you get back to work.
No, thanks.
Super calm after a record-breaking pass. Now he's got to back it up. As I said, here comes a guy we've been waiting to see. Saw this guy out in Sanford, North Carolina in his own ride earlier this year in the Hill and Hole pit. That's Robert Gallagher, the rabbit hunter himself, driving the second-rate outcast of Jason Massey, who you see there on the starting line. There you see. Father of Robert Gallagher, some of the nicest people you meet in this sport. Those guys out of the state of Pennsylvania, driving the machine out of Fraser's Bottom, West Virginia. Lining up next to the man out of Weyauwega, Wisconsin. That's Jason Chaya and Little Crazy, excuse me. See, I think I pronounced the town name correctly, and then I mispronounced Little, so forgive me. I never get anything right about Jason's. Right, 788 cubic inch Bischoff Ford Hemi in that one, and a 959 cubic inch Pat Musey power plant in the near lane that belongs to Robert Gallagher himself. Wow! I think he just let go of the button and held on. Robert Gallagher, a 241 carrying the front end all the way down the track. You know, look at that. That was a wild ride. Chaya with the front end in the air, and I was over here looking at the black and blue machine. Look at Gallagher on the rear tires. Watch this from the end zone. I don't know if anybody's ever wanted to see Robert Gallagher dance, but we got to see it here. Look at this thing moving back and forth, throwing dirt onto the starting line. All right, Robert Gallagher at 241. You hosed down the starting line, but you got to the end of the track okay.
It was a good pass. I was happy with it. We got data we can work with, and we're going to knock it in the head for the next round and see if we can get this sealed up.
It changed some of the clay out this morning, and I know you didn't drive yesterday, but did it seem to affect the track at all?
I think the track is maybe a little bit better, but my teammates are kind of the experts on that. I just make the engine run.
This is a long way from Sanford, North Carolina. The last time we saw you, very different vehicle, but you got a front-engine version of one of these, so you're not a stranger to this type of racing.
No, my front-engine car is sitting. I struggled with getting it down the track. Sanford, another MRA racer, hurt his engine, and I saw an opportunity to put my engine in a winning car, and it's been a great team atmosphere with Jason Massey and his family.
Well, it's good to see you back out here, Robert.
I'm glad to be here.
Good to see that guy down here. Again, one of the nicest families you're going to meet, and the same to the Massey Mud Racing family. Just a great bunch of guys. Glad they were able to team up, help each other out this year. Now, here are two beautiful hot rods in the class. On the far side there, the bright white vehicle. That is Casey Lawyer and Strategic Attack. The OPS-built machine, but very quick here in the modified cut class, along with Rick George, your points leader in Smoking Gun, an absolutely gorgeous racing in the dirt-built machine, 800-plus cubic inch power plant, and that 37 pickup. The 36 pickup you're looking at right there, 712 cubic inch VZ race engine in that one, big block Chevrolet. And you saw him purge the nitrous there, so you know he's got the power adder, as does Rick George. This should be an awesome, awesome pairing. Keep your eyes on these guys. Keep in mind, Casey Lawyer is bouncing back this season from a disastrous crash earlier in the year, but he has been running strong ever since. Moving quick, Rick George getting some hang time down there at the finish line. Wow. I said that was going to be a good pair, both of them having kind of a wild ride. Watch it, wheels up in the far lane, and watch the hop coming through the finish line for Smoking Gun. Rick, I got to ask, do you feel those bunny hops when you come across the finish line? That thing was off the ground.
Yes, it was. I don't know exactly what happened. It felt kind of funny, and I wound up, and when it was a hopping, my foot hit the accelerator, and I didn't really mean to do that, but I was bouncing around.
Shutdown here is real good, though. It's a little roughing it down with the hard ground, but there's plenty of room to run it out.
There's plenty of room. It's a good facility. There's plenty of shutdown. That's a place you don't have to worry about that at.
Dust settles. What a session one for these guys. I'll tell you what, the class is delivering here today, and we are not done. We have more coming from the modified cut class, but record times on top of this thing right now. Keith Mitchell shooting at that record. Rick George coming after him, trying to hang on to the number one spot. Keeping away from Robert Gallagher. That's what he's got to do. Justin George and Chris Bonaker rounding out a competitive field. Stay with us. The Opens are back on the track next. Welcome back to the Upper Merrimack Dirt Drags. The sun sets behind the mountainside. We are getting a last-minute groom in here for the open paddle class. Here is a look at the standings coming into session 2. Kevin Harrison with the lead, a 2:01 with a 3, followed by Steve Strell with a 2:08 with a 6. Shane Nygam coming up behind Kevin Harrison there in one of his 2 rides, that being the second chance machine. Mark Riggin and Tyler Coolidge rounding out the top 5. Speaking of Shane Nygam, rolling back out now in his first vehicle, actually. That's Perfect Storm. And Nygam will come back with second chance in a little bit. Remember, he's going to be running for $5,000 cash. Little wager between himself and Kevin Harrison. That's out of pocket. The MRA has nothing to do with that other than that run is first to the finish. So those guys are going heads up for each other, but whatever time they lay down will become official here as Mark Riggin rolls to the line to go toe-to-toe here with Nygam. Riggin looking good after that first session. Remember, another bad habit, ran a 2:15, excuse me. Again, shooting for a 2:01. You're going to have to be quick in this class right now. Record standing is a 1:95. Riggin with big problems. Nygam reeling it in at the end. A 2:07 for Shane Nygam. A 2:07 will better Steve Strell's 2:08, so that'll knock Strell down to third place for the moment. Riggin having to reel it in at about a quarter track. You can see the front end picking up on him. That's not an unfamiliar sight, but that right there, he tucked that right rear, and look at Nygam fighting it into shutdown right there. Doing a good job, but they got about 2 miles to run that thing out. They'll take out some soybeans, but there's nothing hard to impact. Look at Mark Riggin working for a living there. He had a real good idea of how hard that thing came around. Steering back into it, he really did tuck that right rear. You can put one of them upside down that way, but fortunately for him, good driving, he did not. As I don't believe this is going to be a record-setting track here today, but it's a good, safe track. These guys can get a hold of it. That's very apparent. It's not throwing them around too bad. Here's a vehicle that's been thrown around here in the past, though. The Danish Dragon. Just pouring the fuel to it. He's got a problem, though. You can kind of see it coming out of the front there. Look at, they're telling him to shut it off. That's Neil Shoemaker and Jesse Brown telling him to cut that motor right now. So it looks like we're gonna delay start on this one. He had a ton of fuel dumping onto the cockpit there, so they shut him down. My other cameraman radioed down here and said it looked like a water feature on the starting line, so didn't know what he was talking about, but there you see it. So we'll find out now as we wait just a moment. Actually, okay. Well, he was moving quick right there. Jamie Suter didn't know where to go. Trying to stay out of the way of the roost. They went ahead and sent him. There was a little confusion on the starting line there. We're going to get a readout on him in just a moment. Try to tell you what the time was there because it's not going to come up down at the bottom until Anderson makes his run. It's going to be a 2:16 with a 9 for Wessinger. That's not bad considering the upset there on the starting line as clearly a problem for Anderson. They're trying to fix it and go ahead and get him refired and give him a run. Up in the air on the start there, the front wheels, he carried him down through there. I think if he could have gotten it sit just a little bit flatter, he'd have been good. But again, this is not going to be a record-breaking track here today. I can tell you that right now, but definitely a safe track from what we're seeing here. You can really put some horsepower to it, and again, just trying to get the points on, get that win money, and they have refired the Danish Dragon. That's Shane Nygum's crew right there, by the way. Getting the fellow Canadian back and ready to roll. The gentleman out of St. Albert, Alberta, as I mentioned before, the Danish Dragon. Still shooting at the 2:01 of Kevin Harrison. Took a walk on the wild side right there, a 2:19. Still looking for more. That's not a bad run. That could have been a winner on a different day, but not with Kevin Harrison laying down a 2:0. And keep in mind the record in this class is a 195 with a 1. But look at him walk around on the rear tires. And, oh, he lost a drive shaft. You see it right there on the replay. The drive shaft came out as he went through the finish line. Didn't see that when he went by us the first time. See if we can see it here when he comes through. Yep, there he is, hops up in the cloud of dust. But hey, it fell out on the last pass of the last session of the end of the year. What a better time to lose parts than the last time you're going to run the vehicle for the year. As Jeremy Hood comes back out, another member of the Harrison Logging Camp, Eric Bidlack-built vehicle, is going to try to get this thing under control. Again, off to his right. That's the problem he's been having, is just trying to fight this thing a little bit, regain control of that vehicle. Just not cooperating with him. Still runs a 3.21. Considering the problem he's having, it's not bad, you know. The secret is trying to wield the horsepower you've got. He's got so much horsepower to put to the track, you just cannot get it to stick. The vehicle wants to go left and right on him, and he knows that. He's not ignorant to it. We've talked to him before. He's just trying to find it right now as the battle for the cold, hard cash comes to the line. Remember, the times set down here are official, but these guys are going to leave on that green light. So reaction time is going to become very important because this is a $5,000 wager between these two guys. And it's out of pocket. This has nothing to do with the MRA. This is just between these two gentlemen. But the runs will be official. So if they lay down good times here, that's bonus. But all important as they head into the final points of the season. Look at Nygum rolling up there. He's ready to go. Who will take the $5,000 in pocket change out of Steelville, Missouri? $5,000 is going to stay stateside right now because Nygum just lifted a blower. So out there on the starting line, those restraint straps keeping it down on top of the engine, but he's definitely done some damage there. As soon as he left the starting line, there was a pop. Big old compression pop right there, and you can feel it when you're standing there. Again, tip of the hat to our buddy Owen Sargent there on the starting line. Said he felt like he got punched in the chest, but right there, blower lets go on second chance, and Harrison coming down through the end of the track will take $5,000 home with him. Doesn't better his own time, though. 2:06, however, right there in his own ballpark. You see him twisting a little bit coming down through the end of the run there, but there you see the flash as Nygam does some serious engine damage there. I have a feeling there's a little more going on there than just a blower letting go. He's probably done some damage a little lower in that engine right now as Nightmare 7 rolls out for a single. Ned Brandenburg will be coming up in just a moment. That was who he was paired with in Session 1, but they both opted for the single here in Session 2. So we'll see. Tyler Coolidge, record-capable car. He could win this class here today and upset the whole thing for Kevin Harrison. Moving around on him a little bit on the starting line, and again, getting wild and shut down. Hold on! Tyler Coolidge gets it. Whoa. A little bootleg spin at the end, a 2-1-4 on a wild ride. Not bad, but heads up driving for that man out of Minnesota. We'll get a look at that here in just a second. Real quick, though, we're going to go right back to the starting line. Ned Brandenburg is already there. He's going to go ahead and stage and make his pass here in Eaton Rahmen, again with that 481X power plant behind the driver. So dusty down there from the from the Nightmare 7 save. 248, still not what he's looking for in that thing, but that engine will get him down the track. Here we'll see what he has when he comes back for 2025. Again, should be one of the faster in the fleet right here as we get another look at the wild ride of Nightmare 7. Again, such a good job of keeping that thing on all fours. As narrow as these vehicles are and as quickly as they can tuck a left or right rear, it can get wild. You can see again, though, Sachet is coming off the starting line. It looked like when he pulled the chute, it unloaded the rear end. Starts fishtailing a bit coming out. He kept it in control, but once it got away from him, he was kind of along for the ride. He did a great job controlling it into shutdown. Didn't get on the throttle too hard. Didn't get all the way off of it. Didn't get on the brakes. Let the thing slide out because, again, when you tuck a rear tire, you are going for a wild, wild ride. Now, the other half of that team, this is Kryptonite. Tara McConnell on the line, also out of Two Harbors, Minnesota. Joel Coolidge just got her staged up, still up there on the starting line. Let's see what she's got. New machine to them, but again, a very, very trustworthy piece of equipment. Nice straight run for McConnell and Kryptonite at 256. Again, not going to get her to the number one spot, but getting a feel for this vehicle that they have just purchased. Originally, again, was Bad Influence out of Kansas. I'm not sure what they're actually going to do with this vehicle next year, what class it'll run in, if they're going to keep the blower motor on it, keep it here, if they're going to transition it into the modified class or what. But look at the rear tires when she comes through the finish line, an indication that she was actually losing traction down there as they started to get a little turbulence on them. Gyrate around, they're wobbling the whole rear axle as our final competitor rolls up out of Vancouver, British Columbia. That's Steve Strell and that custom 1947 Peterbilt bodied front engine machine, 521 cubic inch Alan Johnson billet Hemi, maintained by Strell Machine Works. See what he can do here again. Still going after that 201 with a 3 of Harrison. Did he go out of bounds? Look at that, a 210, and it was legal, but he was walking on the wild side. Steve Strell turning him on here in Steelville, Missouri. Let's watch it again. Look at him ride the rear tires. He was in no man's land the whole time, going to his left, and he stayed after it. I can't believe the chute didn't collect timing equipment and cones and everything. Well, he just turned that thing all the way up, closed his eyes, and let go. Again, tip of the hat to Owen Sargent, the announcer, and everybody else there on the starting line. Our cameraman, Owen Sargent, getting pelted with little marbles. Look at this. Again, Strell lifting the front end. It goes hard left. Normally, they'll pedal like that. He did not. What a wild, wild ride for Steve Strell. Steve, 208 with a 6 for third place at 121, though. We thought you won with the speed you went past us. We haven't gotten a chance to see you, but we hope you come back next year.
Definitely. We definitely want to make it down and try again here. So we're looking to hit it again and come out and play.
You guys out of Canada are some of the most soft-spoken people, but your cars are some of the loudest things on the track.
Yeah, we've been playing with her for quite a while. She's dialed in and noisy for sure.
It's a neat concept you went with. I mean, hopefully see the Peterbilt for a while here.
Well, yeah, we've been running. This is the second gen on the body. We'll be keeping the body on her. That's the way we run, and the kids love it, so they can relate to it. And who doesn't want to drive a semi truck? So,
how'd the track feel? Did it seem like it was more consistent today than yesterday? There were more marbles on the starting line, but it seemed like it stayed kind of the same through.
Yeah, it was a great track. Today was a little bit different with that red clay, but yeah, yesterday was great too. I mean, it's just a beautiful facility here, just fantastic, and hats off to everyone that puts on this race.
It's great to see some of the Canadian elite coming down here, putting pressure on these guys here in the U.S., and that's what we need, growing the sport international. And, hey, maybe we'll get some from overseas out here one day, but great to see these guys pressure him, and Kevin Harrison with another win here at the MRA. Kevin Harrison, first pass held out for the event for you, it sounds like, at least, but you ended up taking the class again this year. You got another championship to your name.
Yes, sir. That's be the third year in a row on the paddles.
The car's holding out for you. Are you going to make any changes to this thing, or?
Well, I got to fix the transfer case to start with. It broke on the last pass, and I'll probably freshen the motor up, go through it and the blower.
Still haven't taken the bend out of the chassis?
No, it goes straight as an arrow, so I'm not going to touch that.
And look at what Kevin Harrison did to that machine. Great end of the season for him. Unfortunately, didn't get that battle with Billy Fling he would have liked to have had, and but we're glad Billy's okay after his wild ride last night. But a congratulations to Kevin Harrison for another victory, third straight year in the paddle tire class, and runner-up in the cut tire class. Don't forget, he was walking the line with Billy Fling. Stay with us, the final session of 2024 with the mods coming up when we come back to the Upper Merrimack Dirt Drags.
The world-famous C60 Cyclops. The infamous Dodge Carryall, unnamed and untamed. Get yourself a one-of-a-kind toy, the Mudbogger turned monster truck at freedomracingnt.com.
Welcome back to Steelville, Missouri. This is it for 2024, the final session in the modified cuts and the final session of the season to close this thing out, and then they're all going to go home and get ready for 2025, and we cannot wait to see some of these guys back and see what they bring to the table. It has been a very competitive year in all of our classes this year. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to bring you all the action, but we will be back next year with all 5 rounds of the MRA Championship Series, and we're going to start things off now with the guys who closed Session 1. They're going to open Session 2, that being Casey Lawyer in Strategic Attack. He's going to go side by side again with Rick George in Smokin' Gun. It's a wild pairing in round 1. The points leader over there in Smokin' Gun trying to remain on top of the field, but he has got some heavy hitters still to come behind him, including Robert Gallagher and Keith Mitchell, who have a shot. George, a little cleaner going into shutdown there. Didn't get that whip motion. 239 with a 7 for Rick George. Not going to better his own time, so the 238 will be where he remains. And that means Keith Mitchell has an even better shot at not only backing up that record, but winning the class, because he does not have to now get past smoking gun. But keep in mind, the 236 with a 5 that Mitchell ran in the previous session could be undone by one of our next 2 vehicles coming out. But again, good pairing right there. And Rick George trying to stay on top of the fleet right now, especially this guy, Robert Gallagher, who took that wild ride in session 1 in the Outcast. Getting ready to line up next to Jason Chaya and Lil Crazy out of Wisconsin. A long wheelbase Bronco over here on the near side of the track. Front engine machine. We'll see what he can do. He's been a champion in the OPS class as well, this Bronco, and very, very fast machine. And one of the first years we ran here, saw him take a wild ride, actually open the chute coming through the finish line and straighten the vehicle out. So everybody wonders why they use those parachutes on some of these vehicles. They do serve a purpose. We'll see, though. Robert Gallagher looking for record time, trying to get to the top of the points chase and win this event here this weekend. Another wild ride for Gallagher at 245. Not what he was looking for there. A 241 he ran in the first session. Again, though, I think he's just closing his eyes and letting go. Hoping for the best. We'll watch it again there. Chaya with his share of problems. He came hard left, wisely backed out of it. And look at Gallagher just riding that wheelie bar back there. What a run for the machine out of Fraser's Bottom, West Virginia, and the driver out of Slippery Rock, Pennsylvania. Tell you what, fearless man behind the wheel, and may make things interesting going into Sanford next year. I'm wondering if we'll see him back in the Hill and Hole. Love watching the Rabbit Hunter go through the Hill and Hole pit, but I'm wondering if they're going to stick with this combination. Again, he's lending his engine to Jason Massey, and in exchange, Massey's letting him compete in this cut tire class, but it's a great combination. I love seeing these guys doing so well. As the guy that's trying to get past them right now is that guy right there, Keith Mitchell, the Keystone Killer and the Mudgician, lines up next to Randy George in Bad Medicine. Definitely a guy who I think is capable here in the near future of getting on top of this series. It's going to be interesting to see if he can indeed do it, but right now lined up next to one of the heaviest hitters, a legend in this sport, Keith Mitchell. And Mitchell is looking to not only back up the record, but take a win out of here today and maybe improve his chances in the points chase. Looked good. Bouncing through there. 240 for Mitchell. And I believe, waiting to find out, I believe that's enough to back it up. He ran a 236 with a 5. I do believe he just backed up the record, so Mitchell no one's gotten past him yet, so at the very least he's looking good for a win. There's still some vehicles that can do it, but they're going to have to work real hard to get past that national record time that he laid down earlier. Look how straight he was, by the way. You get a good idea of it from the end zone shot. Started to the left of the lane, stayed over there, drove right along the cones, came out of the pit nice and clean, didn't have all kinds of back and forth there. One of the cleanest rides we've seen today in this class. As Daniel Carher, who had all kinds of trouble in session 1, he might need to change the name of that vehicle because he seems to keep finding it as he lines up next to Havoc, Chris Bonneker, who we saw make some of his earliest runs in this class here. Near home for him. He's out of House Springs, Missouri in this Chevy Colorado. Again, a guy is definitely capable of taking a win in this class. We'll see if maybe he can do that next year. Lining up next to Daniel Carher in that Racing in the Dirt chassis rear engine rail. Both of them getting a little more out of it this time. A 242 and a 255 for Bonneker, but Carher's got to be happy. That thing came around for him here finally. They went back there and worked on it. Remember, Carher ran a 484 in the first session. Bonneker slowing down of 249 is what he ran in the first session. And again, look at the rear end bouncing as they go into shutdown. Havoc working for a living. No Havoc this weekend, thank goodness. We have seen some really, really ugly rides here in the past. Some guys who just decided they didn't want to get off the power quite in time as the John Conkle Mod pickup rolls out, that black and blue S10 out of Iowa, lined up side by side with Justin George. And you see the man walking off the starting line there? That's the man who has the shot to take all the points out of Steelville here today. He is looking at a points championship right now. That team has already won one of the points championships, that being the Pro Stock Division Championship. Randy George won that in Thunderstruck. Their Jeep you saw parked there in the background. Justin George having to pedal it. Look at Moses going way to his left, coming through the finish line. Started to get out of shape on him. It looked like the rear end picked up when he got out of the throttle, and he comes all the way down to the end of shutdown. Thank you for not hitting our camera, by the way. Chris Moses didn't red light that time, caught a good light, but watch him again. We'll see if we can see what exactly happened. You can see George having to pedal it a bit. Look at the rear. Whoa, he was getting in big trouble. Moses bouncing to his left. Rear end starting to walk around to the right, and that could have been big, big trouble as our final competitor rolls out, the home state hero, Wayne Bonneker, self-inflicted. Good run, but he's not going to do it as he bounces on into shutdown at 262, so that means Keith Mitchell will hold on to that top spot at the end of this event, so he will set a national record, and I do believe better his point standings right now as Mitchell runs a 236 with a 5. That'll be the new record rolling out of Steelville, Missouri here this weekend. So our congratulations to Keith Mitchell. Keith, 2369 gets you the class for the day and a national record, and that's got to make your year feel a little better.
This is a great way to finish the year up. You know, we've been struggling all year, breaking parts, and it's been a struggle, and it's a nice way to go out on a good note.
Car really seemed to like float right down through there. It seemed like the dirt came around when normally you'd be finding a lot of marbles and dirt like that, and it seemed like it really hooked up.
Yeah, we found a sweet spot in the clutch. Is really working well with the cuts, and tune-up was there. No, it was just our luck, just a good day to tweak it in and find a good place for it, and it's working well.
Well, we'll let you get packed up and head back to Fredonia.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Congratulations to Keith Mitchell. By the way, moved him up to second place. Those record points actually added to his total overall. Not Gallagher down, but Robert Gallagher can't be too upset. He's had a great year. And it was a battle right to the end as Rick George walked away from those two guys here this weekend. So a big congratulations to Rick George for taking Smokin' Gun to a modified cut championship. And congratulations to all our champions in all classes. And we will see you back with the MRA in 2025 all year long.
This Back Channel Productions presentation has been brought to you by Gemini Associates. Whether you live upstairs, downstairs, or anywhere in general, we are here to serve.